Chapter 2. 7th grade, Fall Term 2004 and Spring Term 2005. During late August 2004, I started 7th grade at Bräntbergsskolan, most often called Bräntis, located in Mariehamn right northeast of Bergum. I was placed in the ASP class, a special class for kids with ASP. This time, everyone had the very same diagnosis as me. The ASP class had 3 or 4 computers, about 5 to 7 teachers with different subjects, and about 7 to 10 kids of all 3 school years, 7th to 9th grade, almost all of which were males. My male teacher from 6th grade switched to Bräntis in order to work in the ASP class, much for my sake. He had quitted working at Bräntbergsskolan. The reason why there were so many computers in the classroom was because that was pretty much all the kids did during recess, as well as their free time. Since ASP makes it hard to make friends and be outdoors around people, life becomes very isolated and reduced to the internet and computer/video games. I admit I hadn't been much different myself for the last year or so. My only real difference this far besides my childhood before then was my huge interest in profanity and hip-hop. But now, fictional violence also started to enter the picture. One evening during this fall, while being at home, I was Googling for Flash videos. I had just become interested in Flash videos and Flash games. Then I found a Swedish website called linkarchive.com in Swedish. That's exactly what it was. This site was just about to change my life forever, and thus become a very important part of my life throughout junior high. Although it hasn't been half as important since I graduated junior high, I checked on that site daily ever since just for the latest links until probably 2018. You'll find both the best and the worst there. That being said, I gotta warn you about the possibility of a sexually provocative poster on the site. On Link Archive, I found a video named, "Oh My God." The video was recorded with a webcam in night vision. The video depicted a guy named Andy Milanakis, freestyling over a beat. The video contained the link angrynakedpat.com. On that site, there were about 100 videos where he rapped or played an acoustic guitar. He was real whack at both rapping and playing the guitar, and he also used a lot of profanity. That made me a big fan of his the coming 1-2 years. Andy was born 1976 but looks and sounds like a teenager. At first I thought of course that he was my age, even though I'd already heard rumors about him being 27 or 28. Then during the summer of 2005, he got his own show on MTV, The Andy Milanakis Show. Then it was confirmed that he was born 76. At the same time, all his videos at Angry Naked Pat were removed. As of today, there are hardly even 10 of his old videos left on YouTube. I remember wanting to start a rap duo with him when I got older. But when he got his TV show, and his real age confirmed, I had to give up that dream. Since probably 9th grade already, I've had no interest in him, obviously since I'd already matured with age and new interests. Early I noticed that there were rules for using the school computers that were put up on the wall. As I was told, they were installed by the government itself, but nowadays I believe it was just the local county, Umeå County that is, not Västerbotten. These rules ban anything containing porn, violence or racism. I was against the rules from the very beginning, except for the porn ban. I've always hated all kinds of porn since I first found it at age 12. The reason I opposed the violence ban was quite obvious, since pretty much everything I did on the computer involved violence. The reason I opposed the racism ban was not because I was racist, but because I could be held back from studying racism, for example reading the Hitler article on Wikipedia. But on the other hand, that never became a problem. Back then, I had very little access to the internet at home, since we only had modem. On top of that, some sites, including Angry Naked Pat, were blocked by the child security unnecessarily since there was no porn there. The school computers had much better internet connection since the school had broadband. Plus, no site was blocked even if it was obviously banned by the computer rules. I remember getting broadband installed at home sometime during 8th grade already. As a result, I rebelled against the computer rules by watching violent Flash videos and playing violent Flash games, solely for the sake of breaking the computer rules. I made sure the teachers never noticed anything. My classmates saw everything but that wasn't a problem. I didn't have to keep Andy Milanakis secret at first, since his videos never contained any violence, porn or racism. But then the ASP classes, to my perception, head teacher, who held various classes such as social studies and cooking class, decided to ban him, either only because he himself didn't like him, or because he decided I'd become too obsessed with him. At first I was devastated, but then I kept doing Milanakis as usual. I just had to keep it secret from the teachers now. Since I had ASP, my life revolved very much around just the internet and computer/video games around this time. That's why I was so concerned about these rules. This is actually normal in this age, but had I been normal, had normal friends and been outdoors more often, I wouldn't have cared half as much. I also would have had more access to stuff through friends, had I not already had the stuff myself. Being angry about the computer rules, I came up with the nickname FSL, fuck the Swedish law. I used it as the username on every website I registered on during this fall. Then sometime during December or January, I changed it to FSG, fuck the Swedish government, and started using that name the same way. I also had my own room, just like during 6th grade. Everyone else had their own bench in the ASP classroom, which I didn't get to have until 9th grade. The room was located right next to the wood classroom just outside of the ASP classroom. I was there quite often there by myself during 7th grade. I had a radio and an acoustic guitar. I also had class all by myself quite often during 7th and 8th grade. Sometime during the fall I joked about a skateboard ramp that another kid was working on. I recommended jokingly that he would urinate on it instead of varnishing it. The next day, the head teacher confronted me the very minute I came to school. He threatened to lock me out of the ASP classroom if I ever did anything like that again, so that I would be restricted to my own room, or maybe the hallways, which was like no man's land/war zone for me back then. I felt real insulted by that, and also real scared of him. I thought he reacted to my mistake too harshly, since I was only a 13-year-old with ASP. I didn't expect him to be so harsh. This in combination with the Milanakis ban made me develop distrust in him. As of today, 2021, I understand fully that my joke was very rude, and normally my teacher's reaction wouldn't be a big deal at all. But still, there were many faults in how the ASP class, not the least the head teacher, dealt with my problems and probably many other students, and that would only be more confirmed the coming years. I remember having a discussion with the head teacher about the computer rules. I'd recently had history class where I learned that democracy was founded in Greece. I already knew that the Swedish government had 349 mandates while the entire country had about 9 million people. I remember saying that the computer rules would have never existed if Greece would have been the quote, main superpower, instead of the US, and if Greek would have been the quote, main language, instead of English. He responded with saying that the computer rules would have only been stricter if Greece was the main superpower and all that. Not only did that make me angry at him, it also made me think about the true meaning of democracy. Was it really democracy if 349 people, out of the entire Swedish population, decided if the computer rules were going to apply or not? Since long ago, I ain't been able to care less about some petty computer rules or what any teacher thinks of them, but I've also realized that democracy is really just dictatorship in reverse. It really just means that the political majority could ban or enforce pretty much anything while the rest has nothing to say. Israel is a great example of that. Plus, you can only come so far by simply voting for a party every 4 years, that goes for Sweden as well. It's really about what you do regularly, for example what you buy, in other words voting with your money. Sometime during 2002 or 3, I got a digital arm watch. I had it on my right arm 24/7 until July 2015, when I bought a golden watch. I still got it at home though, since it has a timer function that I very much used in the kitchen until probably 2019. I also would like to keep it just for the sake of it. Back in these days, the watch worked much better than today. Back then I could record audio on it for up to 30 seconds, which I did quite often back then. Back then I was real fascinated with profanity, so of course that's what I recorded mainly. One time during December, the head teacher confronted me about having recorded profanity on the watch. I remember him telling me that nobody else in the ASP class liked what I like, not even my classmates. That made me feel outcasted from the ASP class. Until about April 2005, things pretty much rolled on as usual. I kept doing Milanakis videos as well as violent flash videos and flash games, solely for the sake of breaking the computer rules as well as the head teacher's Milanakis ban. But one time, most likely during April, I and the other kids in the class had to sign a computer contract. I think all the kids in the entire school, if not all junior high students in the entire county, had to sign the same contract during the same period. Those who didn't sign it soon enough were to be banned from using the computers. And of course, the contract meant that we had to obey the computer rules. I signed the contract in order to be able to keep using the computer, but I still broke the rules as usual. But then one day, a classmate told me he would tell the teachers about my activities if I didn't quit. He was pretty much always in the classroom, so he pretty much always saw what I did. I felt real insulted now by a same-aged classmate not letting me break the computer rules. No other kid in the class had ever done anything to stop me this far, and this kid himself had never done anything before neither. Since I couldn't break the rules any longer, I decided to go on a strike. At first I sat a few days outside the classroom, outdoors. I skipped all classes, I never used any computer, I didn't even eat lunch. Then I decided to move the strike indoors. But I still sat down doing nothing, besides reading a few comic books. After a few days, I gave up. As a result of the strike, pretty much everyone in the ASP class, both the teachers and the students, knew now about my new conflict that is, with this guy. Despite me still being able to use the computers, I saw no use in using them since I couldn't break the rules. Most of the ASP class remained neutral in the beef as I saw it, but the head teacher tried to convince me that he did right by trying to stop me from breaking the rules, and I did wrong by breaking them and then getting mad at him for trying to hold me back. That made me more angry at the head teacher as well.